Martin Whitfield.
I'm grateful, Mr McCabe, it's an honour to serve under your chairmanship, and also I'd like to thank the Petitions Committee and also my honourable friend for Newcastle upon Tyne North for opening this debate about the 3 petitions. We've heard a lot of very interesting arguments today, and I would like to extend my thanks to the 98 people in East Lothian who signed the petition asking to respect the original referendum because they have a right to a voice. I would like to thank the 356 people in East Lothian who signed the petition because they want to hold a second referendum. And of course I want to thank the 13,099 signatories, nearly 12.5% of the constituents who signed the petition to revoke Article 50. And I do so with the same thanks at the same level to all 3, because I think this is a debate where we need to listen to all sides. We need to address the concerns. It is not a debate where time should be wasted with interventions and shouting down to try and silence the other side. This is a problem that we've had over the previous years, and we're not getting any better at it. I'd like to also thank an honourable member for Stockport, who reminds us that, of course, the precursor of the EU was an organisation to keep peace. That was its fundamental purpose. People looked to countries across Europe devastated by war to say, how can we make things better? And we came up with the idea of trying to share. And we liked it. And it worked. And the UK was instrumental in the creation of that. And then we sought to join. And we were shunned. But we didn't take that as no. We went back and asked again. And we did so because we saw what was happening there was the right thing for the future. It was the right thing for the young people then, the way it's the right for the young people now. It was right for industry then, as it is right for industry now. We live in a world where we have a growing challenge from the West and a challenge in the East. And standing together makes us stronger. And that's important. I was going to go through and pick up on a variety of comments about, oh, it's in your manifesto and that. But given the shortage of time, I'm not really going to give those the dignity that I don't think they deserve. What I am going to say is I'm going to answer my honourable friend from Newcastle upon Tyne North, who said petitions have been around in Parliament for ages. They have. They date back to 1832. The very first petition was drawn up by the suffragettes who wanted a vote, and it was presented to the House. I would suggest perhaps if we'd listened to that petition then, some of what happened subsequently might have played very differently and been more respectful of the sort of community society that we want to live in today. And I want to look quickly at what actually Article 50 says and why it should be revoked. It's a very simple clause, and it says that any member state may decide to withdraw from the Union in accordance with its own constitutional requirements. And it's those 2 last words, the constitutional requirements, that have, as much as anything else, I believe, with all respect, caused us problems. We have a challenging constitution. It's unwritten. But it's also a versatile constitution. But it does allow people to say, this is what I think it is, and you disagree with me at your peril. But our constitution works because we all agree on certain elements of it. And one of them is democracy. If we revoke Article 50, as the petition requests, we will create space in which we can perhaps have a better discussion with people who are involved. I have some young people in my constituency who wrote to me, school children, primary school children. One of them said, we really should have another vote. We've talked about this. It makes sense. Another boy wrote to me and said, why don't we give the vote to everyone who didn't have the vote then, but has the vote now? Let's ask them. And these are young people who are looking at adult problems that they know affect them and are coming up with solutions.
Will my honourable friend give way?
Very quickly.
Thank my honourable friend for giving way. Does he not agree with me also that if there was going to be a revocation of Article 50, it needs to be in conjunction with a people's vote? We need to maintain the people's faith in democracy, and if people are going to have faith in democracy and we decide against something which was decided not, albeit with a very small majority, we need to not have another vote in order to be able to confirm the decision.
I very much agree. You can't have enough democracy I think one of the questions that needs to be answered is what sort of democracy do we want going forward? Because we've looked at the referendum and a group of people are saying that the original referendum is sacrosanct, we can't have another referendum. We have people who say we've had a general election, it's sacrosanct, we're not going to change that. There are very serious constitutional questions that need to be addressed, and they need to be addressed urgently. One way is to create that space for the discussion to happen, and the request to revoke Article 50 does not mean we will never be leaving the EU. What it does mean is that we can have a discussion, we can move forward, and we can start to reconcile the country away from screaming and shouting to one where discussion takes place and we can move forward together. Very quickly.
Businesses are affected, and many of them don't know who they're going to employ in the future, what supply chains they're going to use, which regulatory regime they're going to use. Surely we need to have space to allow them to have certainty.
Absolutely, I agree. The handling of the no-deal nightmare cliff edge has not been the greatest moment in parliamentary history, but I do think we can have a great moment in parliamentary history, and that really is to open up the discussion again and trust our voters, trust the public to take our discussions forward.